Okay, I'm kind of lying about that because it's about negative 14 degrees Celsius outside, and to try and begin to do any form of search in that type of cold online is ridiculous.
Big question. How in the world do you fly down the New York Hudson River? You've got a pilot license, and okay, it's not an American license, but still. But you want to be able to rent a plane and legally take off and fly and view the New York City skyline. So for that,
Google is our friend.
we're in New York City, so I decided to go down to the New York Public Library, and yes, it was closed on the day, but they had a couple of coffee tables and chairs outside that I could sit down and begin my search.
Okay, I'm kind of lying about that because it's about negative 14 degrees Celsius outside, and to try and begin to do any form of search in that type of cold online is ridiculous. So I took it as a
Fabulous shot, which it is.
yeah.
But realistically, I began my search at home in the comfort of, well, warmth. Alright, so let's get down to business. We are going to discuss the following: ATO selection, where to start, why choose an ATO and not a flight experience gift package, how to choose an ATO based upon the airport proximity to New York, based upon the aircraft availability, the pricing of the ATO, as well as ease of aircraft rental and requirements. Then we're going to jump into the flight preparation itself. Taking it as a flight lesson, we'll see different forms of aspects that we would like to prepare beforehand. For example, familiarization with the New York terminal area chart. So now, where to start and why choose an ATO? The first thing I did was to Google flying down the Hudson River as an air tour package, something along those lines, and results come up, and the couple of results that I received were air experience packages, and I'm going to tell you this right now, most of them which are helicopter experience packages. There were very few that were fixed wing, but I looked at the prices and I was like, this looks slightly more expensive than if you were to go to an ATO. And then in addition to that, if you go on a helicopter, my feel is that you're going to be sharing with other people, and so it feels more like a commercialized experience than it does feel personable. If you're renting an airplane, it's yours. It's just you, the person you're flying with, your instructor, and I'll get to that in a minute. And it's a personable experience. So that obviously brings us to our second point, which is why we choose an ATO. We're choosing a training organization because it has that personable experience. So next, how do we choose an ATO? Now, how did I choose my ATO? Well, if you keep watching, I will tell you who exactly I selected in the end. Now, there were two airports under consideration. We had Westchester Airport, which is just to the north of Manhattan, and then we had Republic Airport or Farmingdale Airport, which is just to the east of Manhattan. Now, Farmingdale is a slightly longer distance from Manhattan than Westchester is. However, my feel was that Republic had a lot more ATOs available, therefore more aircraft accessibility, etc., etc. And in addition to that, when taking off, I wanted to enter the Hudson River from the south, routing northbound, and then coming back down. I felt as if that was a lot more of a exciting initial introduction to the skyline than coming in from the north. Now, as I mentioned, Public had quite a number of ATOs in comparison to Westchester. I narrowed it down to 4. We had Academy of Aviation, Farmingdale Aviation, Nassau Flyers, and last but not least, Long Island Aviators. Now, looking at the Academy of Aviation website, it felt a lot more targeted towards, full-time students. students who would be enrolled. So it simulated to me, or it reflected to me, that of a university admission process. So I didn't really feel so conducive to, picking a plane, renting it, and go. However, I did read up online. There was one person who did rent an aircraft from Academy of Aviation, but this was in the past, and the organization that they had organized it through ceased to exist. I think it's called Certified Aviators or Certified Flyers. You can Google it and have a look for yourself. Now, the second one is Farmingdale Aviation. They have mostly Piper Cherokees, and I think they only had one Cessna 172 according to their website. And I could give them a quick call and say, hey, do you have any other Cessna 172s available, and do you have one of G1000? And that's something I wanted to experience, but I didn't see it on their website. The third option is Nassau Flyers. Now, they're pretty cool. They operate Cirrus aircraft. Now, they had the SR-20 available. The thing that I wanted to do was balance out the learning experience as well as the experience in seeing the New York skyline, right? Absorbing it. Now, if I were to fly, or if I were to choose a Cirrus aircraft, there's a lot of differences that I'd have to focus on and to, get used to the change. And I would want to focus on knowing this new aircraft. I've never flown a Cirrus before. So, there's the performance factor, there's the G1000 avionics, there's just the ergonomics of the cockpit layout and all of that stuff, something you'd want to immerse yourself in and really understand. Now, I can't do that in a balanced way if I'm flying down the skyline, the New York skyline. I'm trying to enjoy the views and I'm trying to understand this airplane. So as much as I would have loved to have actually rented the airplane, and of course it was probably a bit more expensive, I figured, let me try something that's a bit more similar to me so that I can balance out understanding something new in the aircraft, but also enjoy the experience of seeing the skyline. So in the end, we chose Long Island Aviators, and the reason being is, one, they showed their prices on their website, how much to rent an airplane, and as well as how much you pay the instructor per hour. Made that decision simple. In addition, they had a Cessna 172 with a G1000 cockpit, and I was like, great, I've never flown a G1000 aircraft before, so I know what a Cessna 172 is. I know how to fly that, but now let me also learn a little bit about the G1000. So that's a nice balance. I'm not going to meet my saturation point where I'm like, I'm focused on flying the plane, but I'm not really enjoying the view. So what do you have to prepare for to really take full advantage of this learning experience? Remember, it's my first time flying in the US, and it's my first time just experiencing a number of things over there. So first things first, get a New York terminal area chart. That's going to allow you to really understand the different aspects of the Class Bravo airspace, the vertical and the horizontal limitations. You'll also be able to get a better understanding of the general area, key reference points. Then the second thing is get yourself the aerodrome chart of a public airport. This is going to help you with taxiing. You won't have to 100% rely on the instructor sitting next to you on where to go. And then the third thing is doing an FAA Special Flight Rules Area online course. They provide a free 20-minute course. You answer a couple of questions, you watch a video, you read a brochure of theirs. For that multiple choice test, the pass mark is 100%, and yes, you can do it multiple times until you pass it completely. So it's just a way for you to completely understand the procedures that you have to fly in that airspace. So for example, it's key reporting points, mandatory reporting points, the altitudes that you're allowed to fly, the frequencies in which you're going to tune into, etc., etc. Then the last thing is, watching a YouTube tutorial on the G1000 because, like I said, I've never used it before. So I watched a tutorial on YouTube from a guy's channel which is called Dick Rochfort or Rochfort. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So Dick, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. So it's a 1 hour it's a 1 hour course, but it really goes into detail, and it really helped out. But I also like to have the ability to learn as I go, touching the buttons. It really drives it to the memory. So bonus, I never answered the question, what is the actual procedure in renting out a plane? Well, the number one thing that you need to have is a credit card. When you request for a slot, they're going to ask for your credit card. It's not like opening an account and then depositing money into that account. But yeah, you're going to coordinate with an instructor and you're going to set a time that you want to fly, based of course on the weather. You look at the weather and you see which day is the most perfect for you. Book a slot, credit card details, and off you go. You don't need to provide details of your license, but it's a good thing to just discuss with your instructor your certification level. That way he can decide how much leeway or how much control they would give you. And in this instance,
I say in this instance because I've actually already flown.
But in this instance, my instructor gave me, full controllability of the aircraft. I practiced a bit of the RT as well. And so he just guided me on where exactly we need to go and at what points we need to do what. All right, that's it, guys. Keep a lookout for part 2 where we actually fly down the Hudson River itself. And keep a lookout for part 3 as well thereafter, because we're going to talk about what is the value, what is your career value in converting an ICAO license to an FAA license. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll catch you next time.